This is our first question from Claire, who is a mother of two, both her kids being under 6 years of age. And she has asked, when should I be concerned about my child's sleep?
Okay, so I'll take this one. This can be a really difficult question to answer because everybody's expectations around sleep can be different. It can vary from family to family. And if we take the example of co-sleeping across different cultures, that can be very different as well, because it can be normalised to co-sleep with your child past infancy in many cultures, where in others it might be seen as more problematic and need resolving. So you can see there where it does vary and what them expectations might be. But what we typically see when we're in a clinic setting, families coming to us with sort of similar concerns and difficulties, and these might be around the routine. The family might be struggling to implement the routine in the evening. There might be a lot of resistance from the child as well. So some delay tactics, some tantrums, some tears, the one last cuddle, one last story, that kind of thing. And that can be really stressful to manage. So a lot of families will come to us with that concern. Another area might be that it's taking your child quite a long time to settle to sleep as well. So average, you'd be looking 15 to 20 minutes, whereas if your child's bordering this 45 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, or even 2 hours in some case, that's just too long to settle. And that's really stressful for the child as well as the family as well. So we'd be looking for that to resolve that kind of concern as well. Another really common one and really difficult one for families as well is when we're looking at night waking. So this is where the child is waking up frequently throughout the night and they're not able to resettle themselves. So that's requiring parental support to help settle that child either in their own bed or in the parent's bed to help them in the night. Okay. One that we don't often get, but that does come through, the family may not feel that their child's getting enough sleep. So although they're seemingly getting a good sleep opportunity of a set number of hours, they're not waking up naturally. They're requiring waking up with an alarm clock or with mum or dad waking them up or a family member. And when they are waking, they're groggy. And it might be that also they're lethargic in the daytime as well, not quite as energetic, trying to have daytime naps beyond an age that you would recommend or be seeing a daytime nap as well. And lastly, we've got your parasomnias. So these are things like sleepwalking and night terrors and bedwetting beyond the age of 5 as well. So they're the kind of sleep difficulties where families might be thinking, this is a bit of a concern. We need to look at addressing this now. Okay.
That's really insightful. Thank you. And I think actually that might lead quite nicely on to our next question, actually, provided by Jennifer. So she has asked, how much sleep is recommended?
So I can take this one. That's a really, really good question. And it's one that, we often see and sort of ties in with Joe's question about worrying if they're getting enough sleep. And it's different for, for babies as it is with teenagers. So when we look at Lynn Quine, I'm just going to share my screen if I may. Can you see that okay?
Yes, perfect.
There we go. Okay. So this is obviously for younger children from a newborn all the way up to 3 years. They're sleeping in the day and they're also sleeping in the night as well. So we look at sleep over a 24-hour period. For older children, there we go. So from 4 up to about 16, and we work with children or young people who are up to 18, they're not napping at this time. So their sleep is going to take place in one block, and that's ideally at nighttime. So this would be Lynn Quine. And the recommendations here, they are quite specific, and generally what we see is we can see sleep, the requirement falling about an hour on either side of this, of what's put here. And we also, it's really important to bear in mind that every child is unique, and their sleep requirements will also be unique to them. So there's no, so if you're a child, if it's, we have a 12-year-old who's sleeping for 8.5 hours, and it's you know, it says here for 9 hours and 15 minutes. You know, again, we're going to look at their, you know, their energy, how they wake up, if they wake up not naturally, you know, to know that they're getting enough sleep. For Sleep Scotland, which is this slide here, this one again, so you can see that in the middle, it's the average age, the average amount of sleep. But, you know, there is a little bit of flexibility on either side as well of that. So I'll just stop sharing that. There we go. So waking naturally is really important. That's a really good indication that your child is getting the required amount of sleep, and when they wake up, they don't have that sleep inertia. You know, they're not groggy, and it doesn't take them a while to sort of come to, as it were. We also look at the sleep quality, so we want to have that single block of sleep. We know that waking is going to be part of it's natural part of our sleep architecture, but you know, we want the child to be going back to sleep. And I think Joe's going to talk about that a little bit later. But we want to make sure that the quality of the sleep is good as well. So if a child is having, you know, healthy sleep as a young person, you know, we would see, you know, they would have sufficient energy levels, and they would be settling quickly, you know, within that sort of 25 minutes or so, as Joe mentioned.